Hi guys, this is Shelby with Warwick County Soil and Water Conservation District. Welcome to Virtual Ag Days. Today we are going to talk to you guys about the 4 soil health principles. That is continual living roots, soil armor, biodiversity, and minimal disturbance. This example that we're about to do here will talk about the importance of minimal disturbance on soil. So if you are a farmer and you maybe make more passes than another farmer, you might see a difference in your soil. The other way that you can disturb your soil is through tillage. So here we have soil that has not been tilled, and then over here we have soil that has been tilled. We crumbled both up as much as we possibly could, let it dry out, and you can already tell a difference that this has some more aggregates and some more structure and definitely held up already. And so we'll see why that's important as we pour into these a little rain event. Okay, so as you can see, the no-till soil is basically making a seal and not allowing that soil to infiltrate. Even though it's in smaller, finer pieces, it's so fine that it basically creates a seal on the top and does not allow the water to infiltrate. So oftentimes you'll see that no or tilled soil will have more flooding problems, and they'll have drier summers because they're not letting that water infiltrate into the ground. As you can see over here, the tilled soil, because it had so much more structure, there was more air space and pore space for the water to go down into the soil. And so you can see even we've got some going all the way down here, which is a good thing. You want water to go farther down to the ground so it can be accessed later. It also has hardly any top water puddling, which means no flooding. The water is going where it needs to go, which is a great thing. And so this is a great example of the importance of minimal disturbance. So this is not only just for tilling, but how many passes a farmer or how often you drive over a soil field or ground, anything like that, driving over a lawn does the same thing. So keeping that soil undisturbed so it can keep structure, keep those air spaces is really important.
The next soil health principle is biodiversity. As an example here, we have some plants and animals set up to represent an ecosystem in a musical chairs circle. So as the animals move around the ecosystem, they'll eat the plants and interact with each other, and the ecosystem will be in a balance. But as you remove chairs, in this case plants, from the circle, the animals may find themselves displaced. And as more and more plants and animals are removed, you can see the circle start to fall apart. And this is how it works in nature. And it's the exact same way for soil and the microorganisms that live underneath the soil. And if there isn't that biodiversity present on farms and in nature, then that structure can start to fall apart and you'll lose some of the animal and plant life that live in the soil. Some ways that farmers are able to return some of that biodiversity to their fields is with crop rotation, switching out crops every so often, every couple of years, to bring back some of the diversity in crops. Another way is with field barriers. You have diversity on the edges of the fields that can bring in plant and animal life to those areas. And another great way is with cover crop, which is planting a greater variety of plants in the off seasons to return some of the nutrients and some of that lost biodiversity to the fields.
All right, so our last two, but not least two, soil health principles are soil armor and continual living roots. And this demonstration will show the importance of both of them. One that you won't be able to see that is a huge factor is soil armor protects the soil temperature. It keeps it much, much cooler and therefore also keeps in moisture much better. And this is not something you'll be able to see in this demonstration, but that is a huge factor. The other factors we will see in our demonstration. So as you can see, there are two things that the soil armor and living roots are doing: infiltration and filtration. The infiltration, you can see with the continual living roots, it's basically making pathways and more air spaces for the water to go down into the soil rather than running off. The soil that has no living roots and not as many air spaces and pathways for water has a lot more runoff, so much so that it was actually coming off the backside too. And so fields that do not have much cover crops and living roots, soil armor or living roots, have a lot more runoff. And so then the other thing is filtration. So as you can see, the soil underneath that did infiltrate, it is still much more clearer. And if any did run off here, it is basically clear. So anything that does run off of a field with protection, soil cover and living roots, is getting infiltrated and cleaned. That water's getting cleaned, so the nutrients in the sediment are staying where they need to stay, which is on the field, in the soil. So that is how you can see the importance of both of those two soil health principles: infiltration and filtration, that occur with both continual living roots and soil armor.